Welcome back to Living Mindful Guide. You've made it to part 6 of our series on narcissistic abuse, and if you've been following along, thank you. Every step you take toward understanding these patterns is a step closer to reclaiming your life and your peace. Today, we're diving into one of the most exhausting and revealing signs of toxic relationships. Your boundaries are consistently disrespected. So let me ask you, do you feel like no matter how clearly you express your needs, they're ignored, challenged, or twisted against you? Have you ever said no only to be guilt-tripped, manipulated, or even punished for it? If so, then what you're dealing with isn't just a difference in communication styles. It's a boundary violation, and you deserve better. What are boundaries and why do they matter? Boundaries are not walls, they're not selfish. They are essential guidelines that protect your energy, your mental health, and your identity. Healthy people respect boundaries. Toxic people, especially narcissists, see boundaries as a threat to their control. So what do? They push, they test, they gaslight, and if you don't hold firm, they walk right over them. Here is an example of the guilt response. You tell your partner you need some alone time after a stressful day. You say it gently, honestly, and clearly, but instead of respecting that, they reply, "So I guess you don't want to be around me anymore?" Wow, I didn't realize I was such a burden. You're so distant lately, maybe you should just leave. Suddenly, your simple request for space becomes a drama. You feel bad. You question yourself. And next time, you don't ask at all. This is how boundaries quietly erode until your needs no longer feel valid. To a narcissist, your boundary is a threat. It limits their access to your energy, your time, and your emotional resources. And more importantly, it signals that you have a sense of self, something they're constantly trying to undermine. So they do whatever they can to break it down. They ignore your no. They change the subject. They escalate the conversation until you give in. Or they make you feel guilty, like you're doing something wrong by protecting yourself. Let me be clear, someone who truly loves and respects you will never make you feel bad for having boundaries. That's the internal struggle, guilt versus self-respect. Have you ever said yes when you meant no, just to avoid conflict? Have you let someone touch a topic you already said was off limits, just to keep them from blowing up? That's not weakness, that's trauma conditioning. You've been taught, through repeated reactions, that standing up for yourself leads to punishment. So your nervous system starts choosing safety over authenticity. But here's the truth. You can't build self-respect by abandoning yourself. You can't find peace by constantly people-pleasing someone who doesn't care about your comfort. Now let's get practical and talk about how to rebuild and reinforce your boundaries. Here's how to begin reclaiming your right to say no and be respected for it. Step 1. Clarify your non-negotiables. What are your core emotional needs? Space, honesty, respect in arguments? Make a short list. Write it down. These are your non-negotiables. Step 2. Start small. You don't have to confront someone about every crossed boundary at once. Practice holding firm in everyday moments. Try saying, "I'm not available right now." That's not up for discussion. "I don't appreciate that tone. Let's talk later." Step 3. Expect pushback and hold the line. Narcissists will resist. They'll escalate. They might even double down on guilt tactics. This is a sign that your boundary is working, not failing. Step 4. Validate yourself. Every time you honor a boundary, celebrate it, even if it was hard. Remind yourself, that was brave. That was necessary. That was me choosing myself. Here is an example of the power of a simple no. Let's say your partner wants to check your phone. You don't feel comfortable with that, not because you're hiding anything, but because you value privacy. You calmly say, "I'm not okay with that. I need my space and trust in this relationship." They push, they accuse, they guilt trip. But you don't explain further. You don't backtrack. You don't shout. You simply say, "This boundary is important to me. Please respect it." That moment may feel terrifying, but it's also a moment of empowerment. You've just taken a step toward emotional freedom. Remember, you are allowed to protect yourself. Let me remind you of something you may have forgotten. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to change your mind. You are allowed to ask for space. You are allowed to walk away from conversations, people, and patterns that harm you. Your boundary is not a betrayal. It's an act of self-love. If your boundaries have been disrespected over and over, it's time to draw the line, not just with them, but with yourself. A promise that from this day forward, you will honor your needs, even if others don't. Tell me in the comments, what's one boundary you're working on rebuilding? How are you finding the courage to stand by it? And remember, this is part of our 8-part series on narcissistic abuse. In our next episode, we'll explore the emotional addiction that forms through trauma bonding and why it's so hard to walk away, even when you know the relationship is hurting you. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who might need this message. You are not selfish for setting boundaries. You are wise, you are strong, and you are worth protecting.